very good afternoon to you, Rufus. Well, like I said a little earlier, the market down in yesterday's trading session, up in today's trading session. What are you making of all this activity going on right now on the markets?
Well, we saw a bit of activity today, coming mostly from not the usual suspect that we see on a day-to-day. We saw the likes of Pan-Africa, Standard Group, but on an overall basis, I think the market is largely quiet compared to other weekly sessions that we've seen in the about 2.5 months. But I think the dominant trend right now is you can actually call it a zigzagging trend, because the market is not going anywhere. It's actually hitting 3,900 points and then going back to 3,800. So just oscillating within that range. So with today's activity, market going up 1% is nothing unusual. We think that it's likely to face some resistance around this the current level of 3,900, and perhaps going into the week, I see a bit of reaction. I'll not be surprised if we close in the red by the end of the week.
Now, looking at the market, like you say, pretty range bound around that 3,900 points mark. In your view, could we perhaps get to 4,000 by the end of the year?
Well, it looked like that as we enter the week, because we are almost 100 points away from the 4,000 mark. Well, if I'm to be optimistic, then I would say that you know, with the coming down of rates and a little bit of money in investors' pockets, then we expect that to push up the markets in the next in the months to come. But if that doesn't really pan out, then we will see a correction even way below 3,800.
Looking at a stock like Kenyan Market came under pressure in yesterday's trading session, down almost 13%, given the results that it reported. Well, many analysts didn't expect those results. Did we see pressure coming through for the stock in today's trading session as well?
Well, I think we expected it because as you know that I think about 4 months ago they put out a profit warning statement saying that they will likely have a 25% reduction in their net earnings, and that has actually come out, and I think in a sense people expected it, but I think that 40% drop I think was beyond expectation, and I guess we're likely to see some of that correction feeding through, perhaps all the way down to maybe 12 from where it is right now.
Looking at the stock right now, are you one to be playing in it? Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with the stock currently?
On a short-term basis, I think it should be out. You'd want to catch it when it's bottomed out, perhaps going back to its historical support levels of around 10 shillings there. So if I really want to come in, and if I'm to recommend, then I think the 10 level is quite a good level to wait for a buy there.
Well, it's all eyes on the banking sector here in CNBC Africa. We have NIC Bank's rights issue closing on Friday. What kind of performance are you see coming through from that bank? We have seen it being, a lot of potential coming through for the bank of the past couple of weeks in terms of that rights issue.
Yeah, well, by this week we expect the rights issue to close, and we expect it to follow the same trend as the Diamond Trust Bank, which had an oversubscription, mainly because at least all the institutional investors in that bank have already confirmed their participation in the rights issue. So for the $20 million they're asking, we can say that $10 million is already in the bank, because the institution own almost 45% of that bank. So I guess for the 3 days remaining of the week before the close, I guess we are likely to see 100% subscription for the rights issue.
What kind of interest are you see coming through for CFC Stanbic? They are due to start with their rights issue in tomorrow's trading session.
Well, I think the same trend is going to continue. similarly to what has happened to DPK and NIC Bank, we're seeing even the institutional investors for CFC Bank who own almost about 60% of the bank have actually confirmed their participation. So we're only going for about 40% of that money they want to raise. They're looking for about $10 million. So I guess they haven't rolled out the timeline yet, but I think it's going to follow the same trend of, you know, having 100% subscription.
Well, we've seen banks a little reluctant to decrease interest rates, really following the central bank's move to decrease interest rates by 350 basis points in last week's trading session. Only 2 banks have followed the central bank. Do you see other banks are following suit?
Well, of course, they will follow suit, but it might take some time. Well, the main reason that they always give is that we are coming from a high interest rate environment, so, and most of them actually got deposit at very high rates. So until they get to that point where they're able to get enough deposits at the current low rates, then it might take a bit of time. But we've seen at least 2 banks, KCB and I believe CFC Bank. This is more of a competitive strategy than, you know, saying that they have actually low deposit rates that they're paying on. So I guess it might take time. Give it about next month. We'll see maybe an overall reduction of rates.
Well, that's where we have to leave it. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Rufus Mwanyasi. He's an investment analyst at Tsavo Securities, joining us from our studios in Nairobi.